LeBron James and the Lakers have not been seeing eye to eye as of late, and there's been a lot of conflicting reports, some saying that he may look to leave the Lakers, although he did opt into his contract for this upcoming season. He may be looking to actually be traded to another team later in the season, if not this offseason, if the Lakers are not building a contending team, because he and Rich Paul have basically already acknowledged the fact that the Lakers aren't really building around LeBron James anymore. They're building around Luka Doncic. So, with that being said, I think it's about time that we find out what will be LeBron's final home. Okay? So, we're going to look at some different trade scenarios. Even though it doesn't look like he's going to get traded right away, there's always the chance that later into the season, when some of these teams are maybe underachieving or the Lakers are underachieving, he may request a trade. Now, it's also important to keep in mind the fact that LeBron James has a no trade clause, so he has to agree to wherever he goes and the trade parameters. So, with all that being said, let's go through this list. So first up, we got the New York Knickerbockers. And I don't see the Knicks doing this trade anytime in the near future. In fact, they can't because they just signed Gershon Yabusele. But here I have them sending Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Gershon Yabusele, and Pacome Dadiet. I'm not sure if that's how you say his name. And a first-round pick. Now, when it comes to the picks that you see on these trades, it'll fluctuate from team to team, you know what I'm saying? But one thing, there was one report out there that basically said that teams wouldn't be willing to give up a lot for LeBron James right now, which I think is kind of cap because Kevin Durant got traded this offseason, and I would say LeBron is still, if not better than him, then on the same level. You know what I'm saying? I think that they'll be on the same level, or if LeBron is not better than him in the upcoming season. I think the real question is whether or not he's going to retire soon. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Durant, it's pretty obvious he's going to play a couple more years. There were some reports about whether or not the Knicks wanted to get off of Mikal Bridges before they have to give him an extension. As you can see, he has 1 year left on his contract. Josh Hart is kind of a hit or miss player at times. When he's hitting, is great. When he's not, then he can be a liability on their team. And Gershon Yabusele is a solid role player. Pacome Dadiet is, I guess, a prospect. And then maybe a first-round pick in there. For LeBron James, LeBron has 1 year on his deal. I think that the Knicks would potentially do this if they start off the year a little bit slower than they're immediately expecting. Then you get to reunite LeBron James and Mike Brown, which would be a cool moment for LeBron near the end of his career. Also, there was always just the rumors of LeBron signing with the Knicks, so this would just be cool to see him end his career here. Next up, we got the Pistons. Now, I don't think that this would be a team that LeBron would immediately think of and be like, oh, I definitely want to go to Detroit right now. But the Pistons are clearly building something, and if they take another leap after what they did last year, then I could definitely see them doing that. And in this trade scenario, they don't really have to give up a lot or really any of their real core young players. So they'd be sending Tobias Harris, Isaiah Stewart, and Karis LeVert and a first-round pick to the Lakers for LeBron James, which I think that the Pistons would be perfectly fine with that. And LeBron, depending on how the young players on the Pistons continue to grow in this next year, may also be okay with it. I'm not 100% sure when it comes to him, but he probably doesn't want to go to Detroit, just keeping it a buck. Next up, we got the Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves, I don't have them giving up a pick in this trade because Julius Randle is an all-star pretty much. And they also would have to give up Dante DiVincenzo and Mike Conley in exchange for LeBron James. I only kind of see this happening if the Timberwolves are slightly underachieving maybe. They want to get LeBron and also get off of Julius Randle's contract because he isn't living up to it like he did in the previous contract season. So that's pretty much the scenario I see where the Timberwolves would go about this trade. And when it comes to LeBron, I can't really see him wanting to go to Minnesota either. The only thing I really think of when I think of this is him wanting to play with Anthony Edwards, but I don't think he wants to play with him that bad. I mean, Kevin Durant didn't want to go to Minnesota either. Next up, we got the Rockets. Now, the Rockets, they did end up making a trade for Kevin Durant, but they didn't have to give up all of the stuff that they have on their team. And in this scenario, they wouldn't be giving up everything they have on their team either. They'd be getting back Fred VanVleet. Obviously, this is a trade that can't happen yet because Fred VanVleet was recently signed and Dorian Finney-Smith was recently signed. But they'd be sending Fred VanVleet, Steven Adams, and Dorian Finney-Smith, funny enough, back to the Lakers, and a first-round pick via the Phoenix Suns to the Rockets. Obviously, the real prize here would be that Phoenix Suns pick and not necessarily Fred VanVleet on 25 mils for 2 years. I guess Dorian Finney-Smith would be good to have back on the Lakers since he's friends with Luka and fits well next to him. And Steven Adams is just a great big to have on your team. And I think that he would be amazing backing up DeAndre Ayton or starting in front of him, depending on what their needs are. Basically, they would make a good tandem as far as big men go. I just don't think that the Rockets are going to do this trade because I feel like if they are going to trade these players, they really love Fred VanVleet, first of all. They weren't even trying to give up multiple picks to the Suns, so I don't know if they want to give up the other Phoenix pick that they have. The reason why I don't really think the Rockets would do this, though, is because they're pretty much waiting on Giannis. If Giannis is available, they're going to try and trade for him. But outside of that, I just don't know if they're going to want to trade a Fred VanVleet, who is such an important part of the DNA of the Rockets right now. This is an interesting one, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, really. Next up, we got the Spurs. And similar to the Rockets, I don't really think that they're going to make this trade because I think they're waiting on Giannis to see if they can get him if he requests a trade. But in this trade, they got Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, and Julian Champagnie going back to the Lakers. Basically, I didn't put a first-round pick in here because they got Jeremy Sohan in here. Maybe they throw in a pick swap or something. Outside of that, I think that LeBron just probably doesn't want to go to San Antonio. If Victor Wembanyama comes out the gate firing on all cylinders and he's looking like a top 5 player, LeBron might say, hey, boy, this guy can freaking shoot the ball. He can score. He can rebound. He could block the hell out that thing. So maybe he would want to play with him in his final year, and that would be kind of cool. The last real definitive generational player, and then the newest one in Victor would be a cool tandem to have together. Next up, we got the Warriors, and for the Warriors, I actually have 2 different trades here. In one scenario, they'd be giving up Draymond Green, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, and a first-round pick. And in the other, it's just a straight-up swap with Jimmy Butler. Now, if you're a Warriors fan, let me know which one of these trades you would actually prefer if you were to trade for LeBron James. Obviously, there were the rumors last year about whether or not he was going to request a trade to the Warriors and play with Steph Curry, coming off of how great both of them were in the Olympics that year. Funnily enough, I think that he'd actually want to play with Draymond. So I wonder if the Lakers would want just a switch with Jimmy Butler, though. I don't really know. I think that the Warriors would prefer to keep Draymond, 2 good role players, and a first, as opposed to just swapping LeBron James with Jimmy Butler. But Jimmy also played really well for the Warriors last year. Him and Curry were a good tandem, and Steph Curry seems to like him. So I don't know which one of these they would go with, but I feel like doing the first option with the Draymond trade, it would leave them without the depth that they would really need to put around these players. All right, and last, I got the Mavericks on here. And in the Mavericks scenario, they'd be giving up Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Caleb Martin. Now, it doesn't really make sense for them to trade Daniel Gafford after they just gave him an extension, but they do have other bigs on the team that can kind of supplement him. So I honestly thought that they were going to trade him for some point guard help in the offseason. But so I was surprised when they actually did end up extending him, not re-signing him, extending him. PJ Washington, he's got 1 year left. They're going to have to give him a new contract. Klay Thompson, he's on a solid deal, but you got to throw him in to make the money work. And they get off of the Caleb Martin deal. I don't know if they'd be adding a pick here or not because they're getting the Lakers would be getting back some pretty quality role players back, but potentially they could throw 1 pick in there. LeBron on the Mavericks would be very interesting. I think it would be even more interesting if Kyrie wasn't injured for most, if not all of the season coming up right now. So him, and then you also have to worry about Cooper Flag and whether or not he's ready to be on a team that has aspirations to win it this year. You know what I'm saying, as a rookie. But it would be nice to see LeBron again with Kyrie and AD. The Mavericks are also one of the only teams that could send all these players out and they would still have plenty of depth around the core players on the team. So this would be an interesting one for sure. And I think LeBron would say yes to a trade to the Mavericks, mainly because, he gets to play with his two buddies again. And it would honestly be kind of a force of a team with him on it. All right, so that's pretty much the end of it right there. Let me know your thoughts. Like the video, please subscribe. And until the next video, yeah.